Okay, what's up YouTube? I'm back on another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about this book right here, The Biography of Satan by Kirsty Graves. And we're going to use this book right here, the Alphabet of the Bible, to break this book down. Okay? I'm only going to touch upon a couple of things in here, in this book. And it says right here that if the devil really exists, where is he? I did a video on this a long time ago talking about some, who came up with the concept and idea of the devil. So it says that if the devil really exists, where is he? Is he really in a place called hell? If so, where is that? This well-researched book may shock you by exposing all the basic facts about the devil, things like the origin of hell, where the Christian devil was borrowed from, why the church needed a bad guy to represent evil, what the words devil and hell really meant in the Old Testament, endless punishment and its devastating effects, why God was the author of the evil according to the Bible, and things of that nature. Okay, so let's go. I'm only going to touch upon a couple of things. You can get this book on your own. Okay, I read it already. So, before we go into this, we're going to go on back into this book right here, The Africans Wrote the Bible. And by me reading this already, you should already know where this concept came from. Okay? So it says here that origin of concepts of death, heaven, and hell. That ancient wise men of Egypt became obsessed with understanding the principles of the universe and finding ways to tap into the energies of these principles to enhance the quality of their lives on earth, and even have control over the direction and quality of their lives and death. It says modern Christian concepts of dying and going to heaven or hell are mere adaptations of ancient Egyptian imaginative perceptions of death, its relationship to the gods and religion, and doing good or evil in this life. Today, the doctrines and practices of most religions are based upon these ancient fundamental principles that acknowledges the roles of heaven, hell, earth, life, and death in religious thinking and practice. Almost all humans believe that the earth is this planet and there is a heaven above them somewhere in the sky, thanks to the earliest concepts of ancient Egyptian religious thinking and practices and sacramental practices. Okay? Now, let's put this to the side. You can get this book on your own. The Alphabet of the Bible, I've done about 2 or 3 lessons out of this book. But let's go into this book right here. So we're going to go into this part right here. Okay. So you got the origin of the belief in a lake of fire and brimstone. Now we all know about this, right? Well, let's bring out some facts. Okay. So it says that the fact has been disclosed by the foregoing historical or sketch of satanic biography that the capers and diabolical operations of the devils, demons, and evil genius of the Oriental nations were at first confined to the skies or the starry heavens. But it is important to observe that in the course of time, their sphere of operation was transferred to the earth and finally to, quote, the underground world, beneath the earth, long prior to the dawn of the Christian era. According to the mythological era of the Oriental Egypt, when the great dragon, serpent, or devil, or python, or typhon was conquered by the archangel of Apollo and hurled down headlong for the battlement of heaven, and thus became a fallen angel, he was thrown, body, hoofs, and horns, into a lake of Cybon, or Sabonis, situated at the foot of Mount Casuis. This lake was chosen as the place of consignment for the great archdemon or archenemy of the human race. Because it had become a haunt for the most weird and wild imagination, and a focus for the most disagreeable and detestable association of ideas that ever nestled in the brains of a superstitious people. Now, keep this word superstitious people in mind. Keep that in mind. Because now we got to go back to this book right here on the actual of the Bible. Alright? And we're going to go here. So you got the concept of religion and the concept of God in ancient Egypt. Okay? So when you read this, you're going to find out that Negroes came up with the concept and idea of God, heaven, hell, all of that stuff. When you read this. Okay? I don't have time to go into it right now. I went over before. And for those of you who've been following my videos, you already know this by now. But let's keep on going. It says here that hence it became universally excreted. Bearing these facts in mind, let us observe when the Nile overflowed its banks, as it did semi-annually, and spread over the country for many miles around, and reached, it says, it reached this lake Serbonus and submerged it with its protrude waters. And as it receded into its channels by the subsidence of the current, it deposited in the lake a great amount of debris, putrefying vegetation and nauseating substance of various kinds. And it is a matter of fact or fable that upon its stagnant waters there accumulated a scum bearing a strong analogy and taste, color, and smell to that of brimstone or sulfur. In fact, some authors speak of it as being veritably and truly brimstone in solution, i.e. sulfur. Travelers and historians tell us that when the sun was shining upon this brilliant mirror-like floating substance, it presented the appearance of being on fire, and from that circumstance was called, quote, the lake of fire and brimstone, while the steam, gas, vapor, or miasma, created and eliminated by the action of the sun upon the deposits of mud and slime around the margin of the lake, ascending upward, formed the imaginary smoke of the imaginary place, as it is fabled to be, of endless torment, which from time immemorial has been the source of fear. Listen to this. Fable and fiction to the ignorant, credulous, and superstitious people of various countries, and which now causes the pious Christians to, quote, work out his salvation with fear and trembling. This lake, being situated in a warm climate, became the habitation of various kinds of aquatic or amphibious monsters and noxious vermin, which the imagination and credulousy of an age of superstitious fear could easily transform into the imps of darkness or evil genii and frightful hobgoblins, while the hideous noises issuing unceasingly from the mouths of the numerous denizens of this frightful waste of waters, augmented and heightened by the glare of the host of jack-o'-lanterns, willow-wimps, and other nocturnal lights, peculiar to the moist of human atmosphere of warm climates, finished the imaginary picture of a demon's home and a devil's hell, and as the inundation of the river, together with the overflow of the lake, often produce a great amount of damage, destroying cattle and other domestic animals, dwelling, etc. It was very easy and very natural for the childish superstitions which held supreme sway 3,500 years ago to believe that the great giant foe of human bliss and human beatitude, the imaginary typhon, has something to do in producing these calamitous and direful events. Are you hearing this? So, let's see. It goes on to say here that okay. So what they're saying is that this lake of fire and brimstone came from the Nile Valley. It came from the Nile Valley in Egypt. They just told you. It just told you. This is where your lake of fire. This is where your lake of fire and brimstone comes from. You just said it. Just debunked the fear of you going to hell, burning in fire. It's all mind control. Okay? They said, bear in mind, they said, bear these facts in mind, let us observe that when the Nile overflowed its banks, what Nile? The Nile in Egypt. Okay? Now, let's go to something else. I'm going to cut my video off. I'm not going to make this video long. Okay? All right. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go right here. It says, the doctrine of future punishment of heathens and priestly origin invented by pagan priests. Now, who do they call pagans? They call pagans Negroes. When you go into this book right here, the Africans wrote the Bible. The author tells you that the Tamahu, that's a word the Egyptians gave the white man. The Tamahu came into their land and told them that he needed to be saved from going to hellfire. But he said that his ancestors came up with that concept and idea of hell and heaven. And they told him that he was a pagan. Okay? So, like I said, all of this stuff is coming from the minds and imaginations of Negroes. Okay? Now, I want to go into some of these questions, right? Because in the back here, they give you 163 questions. And they make a lot of sense. So like question 18, he says, if the devil is a fallen angel, as Christians teach, who tempted him and caused him to fall? Okay? That's a question either asked. And how could this primarily perfect archangel fall in heaven, where everything is and must be perfect and fabulous perfect? Alright? Ask yourself these questions. Now, when you go here to this one, like here, origin of the tradition respecting the bottomless pit. So it says the bottomless pit had a different origin from that of Hades or hell. Its geographical position was a fancy one beyond the South Pole. This location grew out of the persuasion of some of the ancients that the dreaded and devastating winters came from that quarter, and hence, quote, the evil god who produced the winter, known as, quote, the winter god, had its seat of empire there, a circumstance which felicitated or contributed to this superstition was that of its being beyond the purview of or reach of the natural vision. And as it was apparently situated below them, and they could not conceive of it having any bottom, they hence called it, quote, the bottomless pit. Winter was supposed to come from the south, because it was observed to come upon them as the sun receded southward, which some imagine had some agency in sending the winter. And the sun going down below the horizon out of sight in the Arctic region so as to result in darkness was supposed or fancied to die, but it was born again or arose from the dead when it reappeared in spring or arose again above the horizon. And as it approached, quote, the gates of springs, quote, the Lamb of God or the Lamb of March gathered up, quote, the sins of the world. Now let's drop down here. It says, while the South Pole was, quote, the great bottomless pit, the fancy abode of demons and devils, and also the synonym of everything evil, the North Pole, as the supposed residence of the good, quote, God, was called the mountain of the Lord, as nearly every nation. Now let's go here. So like here it says, where is hell? Ancient tradition respecting its character. So we know that they say that hell is hot, right? But let's read this part. On page 88, it says here that, let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, so in other religions, in other sects, religions, they say that hell is cold. Okay? The name for hell among the ancient Celts was called Elfin, which means, quote, cold climate, which shows that they also regarded it as a cold country. The ancient Gauls and Britons, Gauls and Germans, taught that hell was a place of dreadful darkness and was infested with venomous reptiles, ferocious beasts, and wicked spirits. The Egyptian astrologers taught that hell was a bottomless pit, the damned inmates being suspended on hooks fixed in the side of the pit, though many of the natives of that country held to, quote, a lake of fire and brimstone. The ancient Buddhists and Mexicans believed in a hell of unquenchable fire prepared for the devil and his angels. Here it may be remarked that the inhabitants of cold countries taught that hell was a hot place, a place of glowing, melting heat, while on the other hand, the inhabitants of warm climates taught that the place of consignment for the wicked was as cold as a mountain of ice. You see that? It's all imaginary. It's all in your mind. So we just broke down, just debunked that fast. The lake of fire and brimstone comes from the Nile Valley. So this book is called Biography of Satan by Kersey Graves. With that being said, I'll say peace to you, and I'll see you in the next one.